Beard. From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 278, I believe, of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. With me tonight is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Fuck you, Internet.
Yes, Nick's internet dropped out on him, ready to one to start the show. With us again this week, apparently knocking Garvin off the pedestal, is Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hello! How's it going?
Alrighty, apparently somebody's running for election. My name is Joe, and this is tonight's show. This episode of FTPW has been brought to you by our friends on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, Patreon subscribers get early access to our episodes as well as to bonus content that only they can see. Shout out to, I believe, the newest member of the Squared Circle of Trust. That would be Sean Walton. That's something I didn't check beforehand, but let's see. You know what? You need some love. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. After today's free conversation, I don't think we're going to do any Squared Circle of Trust tonight just because of technical difficulties. That's okay. We will try to do it next week. We'll try to do as much as we possibly can, but when things get thrown into upheaval because Garvin has to go to work very, 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 very freaking early in the morning, this is what happens. So again, if you aren't subscribing, definitely join us on patreon.com/fanstalk and become a Squared Circle of Trust member today. All right, guys, now that all that's out of the way, let's talk the WWE. Unfortunately, we have bad news to report that Roddy Piper passed away at age 61 due to cardiac arrest. What are some of your favorite moments, guys?
You know, Piper was well before my time. I haven't gone back and watched a whole lot of his stuff. Like, I'm aware of the big moments, like main eventing the first WrestleMania, the coconut to the head with Snuka. Yeah, I know the highlights basically, but yeah, unfortunately, I only got to see him in his later years on WWE. Whenever he'd come back for those old school Raws, and it looked like he was just out of his mind, just muttering things over and over during Piper's Pit. But you got to respect what he did for the business during his prime. Just being an outstanding heel and really being one of the first guys who was a bad guy that you kind of loved. So major props to him. 61 in today's day and age, that's still too soon.
Mm-hmm. Most of my memories are also recent. I've never necessarily gone back and watched entire feuds, but I have picked out matches here and there. Obviously, the first main event of WrestleMania, Orndorff and I think it was Piper versus Hogan and Mr. T. Like that was an absolutely great match and very, very entertaining. A couple of my favorite memories, though, are pretty recent. One was kind of silly, and I guess most people might consider it kind of forgettable. And that was there was a backstage segment that he did with Jericho. I want to say like 2004, 2005, maybe somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And I think it was actually it wasn't. I wanted to say it was a build up to the little 3-on-1 match that Jericho had at WrestleMania, but it was not. It was just happened to be the two of them were at Raw together, and they happened to meet each other backstage. And Jericho was cutting a promo, and Piper came in and cut him off, and Jericho was like, oh, I see that they let you out of the retirement home or something like that. And without missing a beat, no setup, not like any pause or anything, Piper just goes, oh, thank you, like some senile old man. And just those kind of moments were just so perfect. I mean, he hit the nail on the head when he said things like, just when you think you have all the answers, I change the questions. He really did that. It wasn't just a cool catchphrase, although it was a pretty cool catchphrase. Yeah. The other memory I have, and this is very, very early in his career, I think he was still kind of green, and it's just one of my absolute favorite promos of his, where he's still actually kind of a babyface, and he's calling his fans the sheep herders and all that stuff, which I will always be a sheep herder for life. And he has this full bottle of beer in his hand. Look it up on YouTube if you want. It's a great watch, and it's so incredible. I've never seen anybody do something like this before. So he has this full bottle of beer, and he's cutting a promo about how tough he is and all that stuff. And right in the middle of the promo, he takes a bottle of beer and just smashes it right into his head. Like, and it wasn't, I don't think anyway, that it was like candy glass or anything. This was a solid bottle of beer, but he hit himself so hard that it just blew up everywhere. Beers everywhere. And he did not miss a beat. Didn't like take time to recover. Just straight back into the promo. You see blood pouring down his forehead, from the glass. And I mean, that's a badass motherfucker right there. Sorry for my French, but there's no other way to say it. Like, holy cow, that was such a great promo. Piper,
Yeah.
you're missed, bro. You're so sorely missed. Definitely taken too soon.
Piper was a guy who, he'd cut a promo, and every time he cut a promo, you had no idea where he was going to go. He was kind of like Jake the Snake in that aspect, but less psychological. More, Roddy Piper could rile up a crowd like nobody's business. He was the kind of guy that could get you to want to beat the shit out of him after a show. Like he would just piss you off that much. The coconut thing will always go down in history. Which WrestleMania was it where he actually painted half of himself black?
I want to say that was like 3.
3 sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then starring in the John Carpenter's They Live. If you haven't seen, that's a fantastic movie, and he does a wonderful job in it. If you
Bad
like
News
sci-fi.
Bears too, right? He was in Bad News Bears also.
I've never seen it actually.
Oh, the original, not the one.
Obviously. But yeah, I just Rowdy Piper. I told my mother last night, she had come by. I said Rowdy Piper died. She's like, "What? He used to be so cute. What happened?" My mother had the biggest crush on Rowdy Piper. I think it's hilarious.
Kind of sad that he used to be so cute.
So, and my wife's sitting there going, No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. You don't go around smashing bottles into your head and look great in 50 years.
No, look at Sandman. But yeah, everybody in the live chat. Robert Carmichael says some of his favorite moments were Goldust versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 12. Ishmael says Piper's Pit with the Shield and slapping John Cena, and that he was there when he showed up in Columbia, South Carolina in 2002 on Raw. Blue Kick Tour says, my first real memory of him was when he returned at WrestleMania 19 during the Hogan vs. McMahon bit. Beanbag says, when Piper was white hot against the NWO, people in NWO shirts chanting Piper was great. That was out of my realm. That was like the time when I was not watching wrestling. I came in right at the tail end of WCW's existence. I was watched as a kid, and then everything went cable, and I never had cable, so I didn't get to watch.
That one moment that they show in the memory video the WWE produced with him and Stone Cold in the Piper's Pit segment. Oh my God, I could watch that like a million freaking times. That was so great. And they slapped the shit out of each other. Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen that, and that looked like something absolutely monumental.
You got to watch that whole Piper's Pit, man. Hit it up on YouTube or something. It's so good.
Or if you've got the network, it's only $9.99.
There you go. That's also true.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up along with Goldust versus Piper at Mania, because that sounds like an amazing feud.
Yeah, put that bottle thing in the playlist too.
One of these days, we need to maybe sit down and record commentary for a WrestleMania. Nick, I think you might have picked the WrestleMania in which we could do that.
Sweet.
One of many, let's just say.
I'd be down for that too, because I think WrestleMania 12 was in California, so kind of works.
Let's see. Moving on. Ishmael says when Roddy Piper and Flair became World Tag Team Champions, uh, uh, Wrestlers vs. Zombies, according to Ishmael, starred Roddy Piper.
I think I heard of that one. I'm not sure.
And Blue says the Austin one was at WrestleMania 21, if he recalls correctly. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of things I guess we could take the time and recount about Roddy Piper, but his impact on the business, I mean, life-changing. I know Jericho had him on a podcast semi-recently. That was kind of interesting to hear him talk about his life and how things got hard. But it's very reminiscent to me and how Jake Roberts talks about his life, so it's kind of a mixed bag. There's a lot. Both guys had a lot of self issues, depression,
Yeah, a lot of baggage.
a lot of baggage. That's the best way to put it. And while they did amazing things in the ring, you never want to see someone have that amount of baggage. You want everyone to be happy. So let's think of Roddy Piper, more in the happy tones, and. Hey, Ronda Rousey dedicated her fight to him.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Madison Square Garden paid the tribute on their marquee.
Mm-hmm. Well, she took her nickname from him.
Yep.
That's why she calls herself Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Well, she got permission from him for that. She actually seeked
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
So that's a good deal of respect.
Oh,
Not
definitely.
a lot of people do that anymore.
Definitely.
And,
Ronda's definitely doing something like that for sure.
Oh, I couldn't last 34 seconds with her. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, every time I saw that Entourage trailer, and he's like, oh, if I last 30 seconds with you, can I go on a date with you? And like, of course they cut it, but she's like, oh, if you last 30 seconds with me, I'll bleep you. And as soon as she said that, I turned to like my friend in the movie theater, and I was like, dude, she could break every freaking bone in my body. Like, I'm not giving up in that 30 seconds, I swear.
Yeah, I like that. She goes chasing after him. How many seconds? How much time? 10 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'd be in a full body cast. You just cut a little hole right around the crotch.
Oh no,
perfect.
No. The crotch.
Yeah, the crotch. Yes. The gotch crotch.
Yeah, there you go. No, you heal up, then you go on the date. That's the trick. Well,
I don't know what the time frame would be.
As long as she's not dead, you're good to go, and some people have that weird fantasy. So, moving on, Layla announced her retirement. Did she have a good career, and will she be missed? I'm going to go to Nick on this one.
I think she did some decent things. Namely, her time in Lay Cool. It was an interesting reign. We got a good tables match out of that. I don't know if she'll necessarily be missed, because she's always been, at best, a decent wrestler. There's a lot of better talent around, certainly, but, she was a good hand.
Mm-hmm.
Adam?
I'm going to miss her. I'll say that much. Obviously, I kind of came to accept that I felt her career was waning over the last couple of years as we saw her less and less on TV. I think we saw her a couple times on Total Divas, but that was about it. So I'm definitely going to miss her. I also really like Lay Cool. That tables match with the two of them versus Natty and Beth was outstanding. That was an outstanding just tables match, period, I thought, regardless of gender. And I really liked I was surprised they didn't do it sooner. I really liked the BFF women or Divas title. Was it women's or I don't remember. But the BFF Divas title, yeah, the BFF Divas title thing that they did, I thought that was pretty clever, and it suited their gimmick so well. And yeah, I mean, Nick's definitely right. She didn't light the world on fire with her wrestling ability, but I thought she was an outstanding character. And even when she was face and kind of just coming in off of the Diva Search, she still was willing to always put like 110% into everything she did, as far as character goes anyway. Mm. And that's kind of something that I felt even some of the NXT divas could have kind of, as Dusty would say, sat under the learning tree and kind of picked her brain from. But it's her choice to retire.
I'll go with you on, she could pass down some info. I never found her to be extremely talented in the ring. There was always something, in my opinion, that was missed. I'm not trying to slight her, even though I've gone on record a number of times saying I wasn't her fan. She was definitely the weaker link in Lakewood, in my opinion. Did she have a long career? I think she did have a long career. Will she be missed? Not necessarily. I don't think she ever found her perfect niche until Lakewood. And then she felt more of a lackey to Michelle McCool as opposed to an equal. But yeah, right. That tag team match was fantastic. The tables match that was impressive. She did cut some good teeth on that one.
I do wish she'd gotten a little more mileage out of that team up with Summer. After they had that little feud over being Fandango's dance partner, and then they realized he's just playing them one against the other, so they turn on him. I think there was some good TV to be had out of that.
There could have been, but obviously they didn't utilize it. But yeah, I mean, hey, you are in the record books, Layla. You were a Divas champion, and no one can take that away from you. So own it.
Nor should they.
And good luck with the next phase of your career of life, or next phase of life, whatever you plan on doing.
Agreed.
Let's see. Live chat says, Ishmael says, Layla will be missed. Robert says, Layla was good, but misused after the women's title was discontinued, but she'll be back in wrestling, but it won't be in WWE. I'm assuming that means indie feds. Not, with the booking, the name recognition, not so much the TNA or the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I don't see her back in the ring. I see her making the convention circuits, like the Legends of Wrestling and whatnot. But
right.
Yeah, she's 38 or 39, so I don't think she's going to be stepping back in the ring.
Well, speaking of learning trees, when she said she retired, did she announce that she was leaving WWE, or was that like just her retiring from the ring, kind of like Santino did?
I believe she parted ways.
Okay.
There was a statement on WWE.com.
Because I think she'd be an outstanding, sidebar to Sarah Del Rey and anyone else who's, behind the women's division, if that's at all possible. But if she has parted ways, then that's her choice.
Yeah, character coach, I could see that.
Yeah, she can help someone develop a character. That'd be okay. But okay, moving on. Raw. This week on Raw, Seth Rollins held a World Wrestling Entertainment Heavyweight Championship Open Challenge for those under 6 foot tall and 200 pounds, calling out Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle didn't come out, but Neville did.
Some stuff in the kitchen? Yeah. Right.
Rollins retained, but one, what do you think of the match? And two, should this be continued? This Open WWE Championship?
It would be interesting if Rollins decided to keep running with this to try and show up Cena and just keep on putting caveats onto the challenger. Like, not necessarily stacking them, but throwing out different ones. It's like, all right, so clearly that last qualification was bullshit, but here is the new criteria for accepting my open challenge. So that he wants to get somebody ridiculous, like maybe Zack Ryder, but I don't know, somebody with enough of an internet presence. So say Dean Ambrose? Having something like that where it just keeps cycling in good opponents that maybe he wasn't expecting but we'd really enjoy. I think that'd be a good way to raise Rollins' stock while he can't fight Cena.
And then have El Torito win the title.
Oh, absolutely, because the Authority can absolutely make that happen.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'll be honest, as far as that goes, like, sure, if you wanted to put the restrictions on so that El Torito was the only one that could challenge, I'm fine with that. I would absolutely love to see a match between Rollins and Torito. I think that would be... I kind of felt like they were gonna, I guess swerve us, even though I saw it coming, and have someone else who fit the bill come out. But even still, I don't know. I think Torito doesn't work that badly, and I think Seth could definitely work off of him for sure. And I think they'd be able to pull a pretty damn good match out of each other. That said, Neville is by no means a complimentary consolation prize, is what I meant to say. Uh, and their match together was also very great. I liked honestly that Seth won it cleanly. Um, I thought that was pretty cool and kind of definitely goes to that idea of one upping John Cena. The one thing I will say, I wish he had just put "Never Shut Up" on his shirt instead of "Never Shuts Up," because that almost feels like he's putting a dig on himself a little bit. But that is kind of a minor nitpick. I just thought "Never Shut Up" kind of worked better for his character and his cockiness and so on. Anyway, that's another topic
That's
for another
that's
day.
infringing on Steve Austin's gimmick because that's what he told Kevin Owens and El Generico.
Oh, well, then
Real
never mind.
real quick, in the event that they ever do pile on the restrictions until only El Torito can wrestle, how much do you want to bet that Los Matadores comes out and brings out the Great Khali in a bull suit?
That would be outstanding. I would kind of prefer, but wouldn't then he not meet the qualifications? Even
No,
if
because he's
he's
totally
dressed.
El Torito, and it's on paper in the record books that he is so tall and so light and whatever other restrictions. Like, they would completely play the
And
letter of the law, but against the spirit of the law angle.
Okay,
yeah, and really, you're gonna tell a bull he can't wrestle?
that's
Yeah.
true too. I would like that better if it was like I am only allowing El Torito to make this open challenge. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. No way anyone else can weasel in and out of it. I feel like it would suit it better. I will say though, as funny as that moment would seem, the match itself would not be all that exciting,
Yeah.
even with Rollins.
I'd
You
like
know,
to
it
see
would.
Rollins get down on his knees and with one arm tied behind his back. It's like I can beat anybody, and that's when it happens. Okie dokie. Um, yeah, I would love to see the open challenge continue. I think it's a great idea, even if it's just to mock Cena. I've
Oh,
said it.
absolutely.
I've said it before. Put the title out there, and actually, I mean, that will allow you to have so many contenders. It doesn't have to be guys who are already main event.
Hmm.
You can see your mid carders put in a good match, and then make them they're instantly viable to go higher up the card. That
Especially like, what? Sorry.
oh yeah, no, I just think it would be brilliant. You would
Yeah.
open up the floodgates and make everybody a worthy challenge, and then you get more of an attitude era type feel because at that point anything could happen.
Hmm.
If you could have anybody challenging for the title within good reason, as long as they just have a decent character, and they can work. I mean, this is how you open up your eyes. This is how we're gonna be able to evaluate if Zack Ryder will actually do something.
I think, like Nick said too, especially if you continue with Seth doing those caveats and making more limitations or different limitations or whatever, well, then that definitely cycles like. I mean, nobody. That's kind of to his point about the whole Bray Wyatt thing, and how he loves that Bray's actually kind of taking out Roman to set a goal for himself. The idea is, I know a lot of people said that before with Bray, like they don't feel like he should challenge for the title and all this stuff. He's not that kind of character. I'm sorry, my personal opinion is that anybody who is employed by WWE should want the WWE World Heavyweight title. That is the pinnacle. I don't care where you come from or what your motivations are. That should be your end goal, or at least for whatever reason. I think it'd be so easy to, in talking about Bray real quick, like it'd be so easy to twist his things into like, well, the only way that I can really show you what I mean with my messages is to just break it all down, take your title away from all your heroes, and keep it for myself, and then maybe you guys would actually listen to what I have to say. Getting back to um, the whole open challenge thing, again, no matter what caveats you put on the match, everybody should be chomping at the bit. If they were chomping at the bit to take on the U.S. title challenge, then the World Heavyweight Challenge should never, ever, ever not have a challenger for it. And I mean, that way you could, like you're saying, Joe, and like you even said, Nick, uh, you can cycle through the entire roster, give it that feel of not just anything can happen, but that everyone has somewhat of a chance of winning that title. And that to me makes it very exciting.
Yeah, how great would it be to be watching a match of, let's say, and just to use my previous example, like Zack Ryder versus Seth Rollins, right? And in a match that Zack Ryder should never win. But then somebody comes out to help cause a DQ or cause a distraction so that Zack might actually win.
Right.
Just have it be somebody random.
Mm-hmm.
That opens up so many weird possibilities. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I would say that. Oh man, never mind.
No, go ahead.
I can't remember what I was going to say. So.
Oh, okay, well then, fuck you. Moving on. Actually, let me hit the live chat. Live chat's been talking about about Neville and Rollins and how there was that close call in the match, and that Rollins did get the shoulder up. Blue Cat Tour
there were
says
some great teases there. The full 3 count, but Rollins had his foot up on the ropes. I didn't see that until after the ref waved it off. That was a great move.
The way the ref came down and like closed his hands so he didn't smack, like it looked so much like a 3 count, but it wasn't. Like I was like blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the refs have been doing great work, but of course, the best ref moment ever was Little Nate's run on that Taker match from the back. If you don't, just look up Charles Robinson run WrestleMania. It was one year they had a ramp that was so freaking long, and they needed a ref to come running out to make a 3 count.
Charles Robinson made the run.
The longest run ever in WrestleMania history, and he made it. He made everyone look like a bitch.
Well, Charles Robinson is a badass.
Mm-hmm.
Little Nate is the man, and if you don't believe that, go to hell. Alrighty. Moving along.
There's one kind of small thing I'd like to also address that also kind of bothered me leading into that segment. I don't know, and I guess with Cena's injury, you kind of are forced into it. I don't know that I like Seth setting up the match. It just seems so counterintuitive to everything that he's done up to this point. I don't know. I just didn't like that. I don't know if you guys thought differently.
I think it works because he did something. He caused this injury on Cena. Now he's freaking cocky.
He
took Cena out, so now he's gonna relish in it, and he's gonna make the challenge, thinking in his mind Cena's got something to prove at this point, or that they think that shit actually happened that way. That would be my thought. Nick, you have any comment on that?
I think it fits. He is the future. He is the man. He's the Authority's champion. So, I mean, why shouldn't he get the chance to book the match himself?
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, suck it.
Why are you so hostile, Joe? I thought we were homies.
Yeah, we could be homies, but still be dicks. The Submission Sorority, made up of Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch, made a clean sweep in their matches on Monday Night Raw. I am loving... I don't necessarily like the name, the Submission Sorority, because I feel that Becky Lynch doesn't have much of a... In comparison, does not have as much of a... It's not as flat. It's not a flashy submission like the others.
It's on the name, bro. It's the Disarm Her.
Oh, I never heard the name.
Yeah, the Disarmer, but the pun is Disarm Her. So
I'm getting that part.
I never got that part. The other thing I would say is, like, I actually, embarrassing to say, but I've pretty much done every facet of something in a wrestling genre. I used to actually be in a very, 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 very tiny, I guess you could call it trampoline fed, and that was actually a finisher or a submission finisher that I enjoyed doing, and everybody said, no, you can't do that anymore because it hurts so goddamn much. So
Okay,
it's
let me
a
ask you
pretty
this:
legit
was there a trampoline involved?
Yes, I
Okay,
said
then
trampoline
it
fed.
is a trampoline fed.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah. But we didn't like have shows or anything. Like we had shows, but no audience or anything like that. So
So did you videotape it?
we did. It's on YouTube. Jamin AW for anybody who wants to watch the ridiculousness.
That was
We
going to
did.
be the next question.
we didn't do anything outrageous. We used like couch cushions instead of steel chairs, so we were pretty tame. But it's still fun to watch.
Well, if you guys want to have a beer and sit back and watch that, hey, go for it. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the name of the submission sorority, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I like the faction. I like the group. I'm liking this Divas Revolution. The fact that they're getting time on Monday Night Raw is fantastic.
The one thing I'll say to the name that I don't know if it was, and maybe this is just me being paranoid about it, but the choice of women using it being, Caucasian, and the acronym that it ends up spelling just seems a little awkward and kind of short-sighted.
TSS?
I don't know if I don't know if well, no, I wasn't thinking just taking away the part.
Oh. That's...
Yeah.
Uh,
It is kind of a stretch, I'll give you that.
yeah.
But considering how touchy WWE is with other things of that nature, like, I don't know. Seems like it could be a potential bad day.
Nah, I think
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm with you guys. I am enjoying the action that we're seeing. I'm glad that, the new girls especially are getting such a spotlight shown on them. And even Paige by extension with her win over Naomi. As much as I think Team Bad kind of needs more momentum going other than Sasha, I am enjoying that what is essentially Team NXT is getting the most attention right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sucks for Sasha, but then again, she doesn't really need help getting attention. I am surprised Alicia Fox is still with Team Bella, considering her concussion. Maybe they forecast that it's not that serious, so she'll be back before long, which will be good for her. But, yeah, I honestly was expecting there to be somebody else in the ranks.
The only other thing I would say to it is that as great as all these matches have been, I'm not going to say I'm getting tired of them, because I'm right behind you, Nick. Like, not in that way. I'm right behind you in that, like, they getting the time that they're getting is outstanding. I will say I wish these matches were starting to build towards something at this point. I feel like all of even the new girls have gotten a pretty solid footing with the crowd right now, and to start kind of potentially putting together a ranking as to who might actually challenge Nikki for the title, I think would be a good step in the right direction. And it wouldn't just be, hey, these are awesome matches. It'd be, these are awesome matches that are leading towards something even greater.
I think they will. They're just trying to wear out. They're trying to do a lot of this stuff to keep Nikki's reign going. There's always been that rumor, that they want to get rid of AJ's.
And that definitely bothers me too. I don't think it should be about who has held the title longest, really, unless that's part of the story, like it was for CM Punk. And I guess they're trying to make that part of the story, but it seems like if all the other girls, especially the NXT girls, don't want her to be represented as the longest reigning Divas champion, why aren't they, forcing her to defend her title?
I think we'll be getting to that point pretty soon, because this is the first time since the call-up that Nikki's been pinned. So And they've
That's
kind of
fair.
been building up to that because Bree's been taking a lot of defeats for Team Bella. I don't remember if Alicia has ever taken any, probably on SmackDown, but yeah, now Nikki has been pinned. She has been quote unquote made mortal. So I think the other teams are going to start smelling blood in the water and start making a run for that title match.
Fair enough.
Solid, Nick. Solid. Way to shut him down. No.
Why am I being
This
shut
is my
down
house.
this whole show?
Last
Oh,
week
is this-
you were a guest. Now you're just one of us.
Oh, okay. Is this the turnaround for Brock now? Like this is my Undertaker showing up and costing me my title.
Yeah, this is when the Authority shows up on Maz and starts beating you down.
Gotcha. Okay.
I didn't even
As long as I
we were
know,
holding
as long as
this.
I'm prepared.
Moving on, Cesaro versus Owens looks to be like its thing. SummerSlam, are you guys expecting it? And how excited are you for this?
11, bro. Like it's definitely happening. There's no way they can't do that Miz segment and not have it happen at SummerSlam. Like I don't know. I mean, well, first of all, if it's going to be a 4-hour SummerSlam, as they say, which I think it is, then there's definitely no reason not to have this match. There's no reason not to have, which I'm assuming they're building towards with Stephen Amell next week. It's no reason not to have Stardust and the other guy, Neville, not or wrestling on all that stuff. I'm getting really stuttery, so someone else take over.
Yeah,
But-
this is one of the feuds that I am most looking forward to. I'm glad that it seems to be an official thing now. Cesaro versus Owens will absolutely be a strong contender for match of the night if it happens at SummerSlam, which I'm guessing it will. It just seems to be the most logical way forward, which, I mean, that's not necessarily a guarantee as far as the WWE is concerned, but it seems fairly likely.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I love the fact that they're making Cesaro the heel or the face. Although the comment from Owens to Miz and let the guys who can actually fight talk.
Dude,
Can
can I just say that Miz was absolutely on point in that whole segment? Like,
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's right up his alley.
yeah, that was just so. He was. I mean, it is right up his alley, but I think he really, especially showed it off in that. I mean, before he even starts saying anything, and I don't know if you were watching because granted, Owens and Cesaro were the ones setting the table, but you could just see Miz like right between them as they're standing up, like looking back and forth, like, oh, it's gonna be good, like.
Yeah, just a kid in the candy store look. That was great.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Little subtopic there.
Sure.
With the way Miz conducted himself, both with giving props to Roddy Piper in the Piper's Pit, and then I don't know, he didn't necessarily come off as the slimy heel during the rest of it. Do you think this might be leading towards a face turn of sorts?
I would say no. I mean, he didn't come off as a slimy heel, but he definitely didn't come off as a face to me. Like, he still, up until the very last moment of Owens and Cesaro coming to a head, he still was very much on Owens' side, and they still very much took turns, like, jerking each other off about how awesome they both were. Like, so I don't see if I wouldn't do a face turn knowing how Miz's last face turn was, and I don't really think he's improved very much on that front. He very much is a natural heel. Something, I'll hold that off for another segment because I could, again, talk about that forever. But just, I do believe that everybody should have the ability to play either face or heel, no problem. I think that's kind of a staple of being a wrestler. But, and Miz can play a face, just not well, and I don't think he's working to try and make it any better. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation with Miz where his best work comes from a feud where he's facing somebody equally as good. And as a heel, he's gotten some pretty good feuds out of that. As a face, yeah, during that last run, he wasn't really facing anybody on his level as far as mic work goes. Like, it was, I think there's like a 5-way match for the IC title when he was holding it, and his competition was Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara and 2 other guys. So, yeah, not much to work with.
Okie dokie. Yeah, the live chat's talking Miz on Miz TV, Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. All good stuff. If you're not listening to us live, and you're listening to us on demand via your podcast catcher, definitely consider checking out the live show because the live chat hooligans are the bomb. And definitely worth conversing with and get involved. Get involved with the conversation. All it takes is a little bit of time and joining us at 8 p.m. Eastern, thereabouts. Sometimes it's later. Thank you, fucking internet for Nick.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, get involved. Moving along, let's move on to NXT. We've been talking about Raw forever. NXT. Alrighty. Adam and I started talking about this while waiting for Nick's internet to not suck ass. The viability of Blue Pants. Adam says that Blue Pants is never going to be a contender for the NXT Women's Championship. I think Blue Pants could be.
I will add this. I did say that I love her character. Despite that, people seem to want, like, don't get me wrong. I will use another example that I think would have been outstanding, but everybody else vehemently disagrees with me on. When they were teasing Santino to potentially win the Royal Rumble, and after that, the Elimination Chamber, I was absolutely invested in that. You know, I would have loved to see Santino as a champion because you know what? At the end of the day, sure, his character was comical, but that dude could work, man. I mean, if you'd never seen any of his other gimmicky stuff that he did he used to run like a Rusev style like Russian character at one point, and I mean that dude was legit, and I think he could have been one of the very few comical characters who had the wrestling acumen to still pull off a big WWE World Heavyweight title run, or at least, you know, I think at the time they still had both belts, so at least a big gold belt run. And no one else agreed with me. Everyone said, well, he's a joke character and I can't ever take him seriously and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, that's kind of bullshit, but I can kind of see your point. I feel the same way that I feel that I would love to see Blue Pants win the title. Absolutely, I would love that. First of all, we haven't seen it on TV in forever, so there's that. And then secondly, I just don't think the rest of the world is ready for it, man.
I think she could do it. I mean, granted, anybody can argue and say, yeah, Joe, you're the guy who also said Zack Ryder could do it. Win the WWE Championship. I still feel that way. It's just a matter of getting the right push. That being said, I like Blue Pants. I love the gimmick. It's simple. It's all about the tunage in that instance. That people will drag it down. You know, like, oh, she got the shitty music and she's kind of a jobber. Yeah, well, give it a little bit of time. Like, if that is purely all her character can go in any direction she wants.
True.
Or any direction the writers want. That is a strong thing to have sometimes. Because if they're like, I need somebody to do this, she's like, done. And off she goes.
Yeah. I'll say this at the very least. She can keep everything else, and she could really roll with it. I definitely think she needs a name. I don't think she can ride Blue Pants forever. You know?
I'd ride Blue Pants forever.
I'd ride without Blue Pants forever. Because Blue Pants just get in the way, bro. I don't know. That's my take.
Nick, any thoughts on Blue Pants?
Yeah, I love the character. I love what she can do in the ring. I love her work outside of the WWE as Leva Bates because she's got a great gimmick going right now, doing various cosplay gimmicks while she's in the ring. And she's doing magnificent work in Shine right now as a heel. So yeah, I think the WWE has a potential gold mine on their hands if they ever decide to sign her. I just hope that it's sooner rather than later. If you're not going to sign her, let that gimmick die. And I don't know, maybe cycle in some other indie fresh blood as your jobber of the week.
So what do you think about her winning a title as Blue Pants? Do you think that is a viable thing?
No, you should never have a champion named Blue Pants. Give her a character.
But that isn't.
Her character is Blue Pants, bro.
That's
her
a
character
meme
is a
that
piece
the
of clothing.
WWE ran with and buried into the ground, just like they do with Fandangoing and everything else that we like, and they destroy, trying to look cool while doing it.
But they do look cool while doing it.
No.
But Nick. But.
No, Blue Pants will be popular again when she shows up in NXT over in London, and that'll be the end of it.
Oh, don't give Blue Pants to Lee. Fucking A. Why does Lee get Blue Pants? Why can't we get Blue Pants?
He's getting Blue Pants a year or so after we got them.
It doesn't matter. Why does he get to have the nice things?
We'll have something new and shiny by the time that happens.
Like what?
Red Pants.
I was hoping for a less of Bliss Pants.
Red Pants.
Well, that's an entirely different thing.
Golly,
no, those are sweatpants.
This is going to a bad place.
Yeah, it really is.
A bad place.
Save us, Joe. Save us.
Save us, Y2 Joe.
222.
You guys want to talk Tough Enough, or do we not care about Tough Enough? Meh. All right, Tough Enough. Mata was eliminated. Was that bullshit?
Nick? Josh is still there, so yes.
Definitely. I mean, I know Nick said that last week too. That Josh and Mata both kind of could use. But I think Mata has some great character, and I think Miz is a fucking idiot for keeping a chick around just because fucking. Say what you will about Paige as a judge, and honestly, I'll admit I gained a lot more respect from her after listening to the podcast last night. Fucking saving somebody just because they're hot is the absolutely most stupid reason to use your one fucking save for the entire season. Absolutely the stupidest.
But you do realize it's The Miz, and he's going to do stupid shit just to get people talking.
Sure, that's true.
You guys are right. There is no face turn imminent for The Miz because that is absolutely a heel move.
The best thing I think about it was when they went to Paige in the last night on Raw. The Stone Cold podcast after Raw.
Yeah.
And she did would talk about Tough Enough. She's like, yeah, they brought in The Miz, and he did something stupid. She's talking about how he used the save. Yeah, let's do something stupid, brother. And I'm like, wow, that was so terrible Hogan imitation, but well placed.
I think she meant to say brother, but I don't think she meant it because she kind of shied away after. She was like, oh,
well, that's because she looked off camera as she did it. Yeah. And they're like, knock it off.
Yeah. And she's staring daggers at her.
Yeah, she got in trouble for that shit. But yeah, no, Mata being eliminated was purely because of that. It wasn't. He didn't have a low number of votes. It's purely because of the save.
Everybody wants to bitch about Patrick being eliminated, but he had the lowest votes. There were no saves that time, or shaves, unless you count Big Show's slapping as a shaving of the chest.
Tough Enough got a shave when it got rid of Hulk Hogan.
Oh! But then we still have Danny Bryan, so he's still got the big ass beard too.
That is true.
Anyway, yeah, Patrick being eliminated is not Paige's fault, and just like she said, he needed a shock, to knock off that egotistical bullshit. It's not it's kind of his fault. It's definitely not her fault that everybody voted him less than everybody else. You know, this time Mata was not the last one, except for the fact that the person that was last got saved for a stupid bullshit reason, and that sucks.
But you know what? That's a proper use of a save. To save someone when you know they're getting eliminated.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, it shook things up. So what? The dude's already taking bookings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah,
dude's
that's
getting
true.
something out of this. It's not.
I
like
just-
he's...
And I don't.
And most of the time, people who win this shit are not the ones who stay successful.
That's true. Well, I think at this point, as far as the male goes, it might be ZZ that wins, man. And
No
I don't
way.
know how I feel about that.
I'd love it, but personally, I'm giving that nod to Tanner.
I don't know if it's going to be, because I don't feel like Tanner and Josh. Tanner's definitely done himself no favors on the personability department. And I think that's something you obviously proven by Patrick that you absolutely need to stay on the show.
Yeah, but I think he's going to back that up with ability. Like
we'll
he's
see.
not as well. I haven't seen the last episode of Tough Enough, so I haven't
course.
seen the amount of ability that I did out of Patrick. But you know, as an ex MMA fighter, or I guess he's still a current MMA fighter, but you know, he's still got that fighting background that can transition to wrestling. Whereas Josh, I don't know what the fuck he did or can do. So
Yeah, true. I think ZZ has a pretty good shot at it because I think a lot of fans really like his story. And it's just like how they did it with the 2011 season with Stone Cold. I don't even remember the guy's name that won that, but the only reason I feel like he won was because he had, a heartwarming story. And look what happened. We never ever even saw him on WWE TV, not even on NXT. And
We
the
never
other
saw
guy-
the runner-up either.
yeah, I think his name was Luke. And I mean, dude, that guy was on fire, man. Like he had it all down. If it wasn't for the other dude getting injured, he was the next best one, So anyway, obviously my WWE politics count for nothing.
That's damn straight. Okay, moving along. Oh, actually, we'll take a look through the live chat because I don't want to forget about you guys. Too many windows, damn it.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I know. Robert Carmichael thinks ZZ wins the whole show. Ishmael says it should have been Patrick and Mata winning Tough Enough, not ZZ.
I agree. And I don't like the idea of him joining the Wyatt family.
Well, he wants to bring back Hogan, too, so there. B-Megs brings up Paige's Dollar Shave Club reference. Blue Cactura says Mata was better out of the three. ZZ should have stayed over him. Well, okay. Watch Patrick goes to TNA or somewhere else, according to Robert Carmichael. Become a world champion. Yeah, B-Megs Patrick will be at the CZW Dojo Wars Weekly for a while, so at least he's moving on to something else.
yeah, he's got some indie bookings right now. He's wrestling for Maryland Championship Wrestling. He actually had a tag team match with Mata, and I saw clips of that. Mata looked like a fairly respectable big man. Basic stuff, but there's a good solid foundation there.
Yeah, I mean Mata had it going, and it's purely the how the game worked that he got eliminated. Otherwise, I think he could have been a top guy for the long run. But it's how it goes. I think the judges are going to vote in what's her name that got saved purely to get her eliminated.
And she should be.
Miz can't save her now.
It's true.
So
And I don't see Daniel or Paige saving her. So
yeah, I don't think so either. Moving along, TNA. Brief things. Jeff Jarrett was officially inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. Thoughts, feelings, groans? What do you think, Nick?
cool. Oh, sorry, that was Nick, not me. Sorry.
Excuse you.
My bad. Sorry.
But yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I think it was a good Hall of Fame speech. acceptance speech on Jarrett's part, I like the way they set it up to having Dixie, Karen, and Tenay out there. The three people with whom he's worked extensively. And who know him very well. Obviously, Karen knows him very well. But, yeah, if it had to be in front of a crowd as it was, rather than the, quiet among colleagues things they've done in the past with the other three inductions, this is about as good as I think we could have expected. The crowd wasn't horrible. They're a little bit above average in that regard. So yeah, I think it went about as well as we could expect.
I didn't actually watch the ceremony, but Jarrett being in the Hall of Fame makes sense. I mean, there would be no TNA if not for Jeff Jarrett. I get it. Dixie Carter is the money behind it, but Jeff Jarrett is, for better or worse, kind of the heart and soul. I mean, he was back there in the Asylum days, and I think even earlier than that. And he's the one that kind of got him out of those Asylum days. That got him the deal with Fox, and then which obviously got him with Spike, and now they're with Destination America, and they wouldn't be in the place they are now without him. So yeah, he definitely deserves it. In fact, I would even say he deserved it way sooner than Sting did. But that's TNA's choice, not mine.
That's where you're wrong. They called you and you didn't answer the phone.
Oh, damn it! That was
I think Sting did more
number.
to get. I think Sting did more to get TNA's name out there. Like you said, Adam. It's obvious that there would be no TNA without Jarrett, but Sting was having Sting along for the ride. The only big name from WCW that didn't go to the WWE. Just as big a name as he was. I think his name value did more for TNA in the public eye than Jarrett did. And, the same can kind of be said for Angle as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
That was probably their first and best WWE get, because everyone else had kind of been washed out of. As I recall, with Angle, it was like he left WWE, and then the next week, bang, he's in TNA holding the freaking American flag over his head. That was like WCW, WWF, Monday Night War kind of things, and I don't know if they ever really got one before or one since Angle, so that's fair too.
Yeah, I don't know if Christian had as much of a had as much fanfare surrounding his arrival. His would be the only one up there, I think, as far as name value went. But
I definitely think a lot of fans saw it coming too with Christian. Like, oh, he's probably going to go to TNA. I don't think anybody saw it coming with. I know I didn't with Angle.
Yeah, but with Christian, I think it was he didn't want to go. He went because WWE didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though he was cutting some of the best promos of his career, trying to get them to sign him. He was cutting some great stuff right before. He's like, "Yeah, I don't care if I fight Cena. I don't care who I fight. I'm going to kick all your asses." And then he shows up on TNA.
It was turning down that blue dot, bro.
The blue dot?
Oh, you never heard of that? Supposedly, the rumor goes that Vince loved everything about Christian but his face, and he joked about putting a blue dot over his face for all of his matches and promos so that he could get him over.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Way to go, Vince. And if you want to hear great Vinceism, go listen to Mark Henry was just on a podcast, and I think it was Jericho's, and that was awesome to hear. It's great to hear Mark Henry talk about his career, that swerve he did on us, when he teased retirement, talking about strongman competitions, all that. Definitely worth a listen. If you're a fan of Mark Henry and the Hall of Pain, how the Hall of Pain came up, talking about things with Mae Young.
Hall of Pain. Oh, right.
And the hand and all that. Definitely worth checking out. But Jeff, because we're still talking really about Jeff Jarrett.
Hall of Pain, Hall of Fame, it kind of relates.
Hall of Fame, yeah. I mean, last year's induction list of Hall of Famers in the WWE Hall of Fame was pretty much made the Hall of Pain. So hearing some of those. Let me tell you about my mama. But no, the TNA Hall of Fame, Jarrett definitely should have been one of the first in. I understand he's the third one in. That's fine.
Fourth.
Fourth? Who's the...
Team
Holy
3D.
calf!
Oh, Team 3D, right.
Wow. Yeah,
What?
that's not cool, man. He
Yeah,
should.
I mean,
Hey, he's top
Come on.
five. He's top five.
All right, I guess.
yeah, Jarrett's a guy who definitely needs to go in for that company because he did so much for that company. He helped start it. He did start it.
He put it on his back, bro. I mean, he poured
Yeah.
everything into that.
I think it was
and,
just
you know,
PR, to be honest, that they waited a few years before that, because having him go in first would seem kind of self-serving.
That's true.
That's true. That is true. God, Nick, why do you got to be so reasonable?
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know. It's a flaw.
And Bound for Glory is taking place in Concord, North Carolina, October 4th. You're not going to that, are you, Nick?
The plan is to go right now. Yeah, it's a shithole venue, but it's Bound for Glory. When is this ever going to happen again?
Get it while you can.
No,
Yeah. I mean, taking place in my hometown, not, when is Bound for Glory ever going to happen again? Because I know people are going to make those jokes.
No, that's what I was going for. So
no,
I didn't realize it was your hometown. So
Yeah.
I knew it was your area. I didn't realize.
Yeah, TNA likes to say Charlotte, North Carolina, but the venue is Concord, so.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it's his hometown.
Yep. Fun story, Magnus said one of his favorite matches ever took place at a house show in Concord, North Carolina. So,
I
that was
guess.
nice. I think it was Jeff Hardy.
Interesting.
I think that was the opponent he named. Yeah.
Interesting.
No TNA Japan promotional venue this year so that we can get to hear Joe read off all the Japanese names again.
Nope, not at all.
No.
Thank God.
Damn. Damn it.
That'll be upcoming Global Force Wrestling news.
Oh, yes.
Just quick tidbit on Ring of Honor. Officially, Destination America dropped the 8 p.m. airing of Ring of Honor. Instead, it's only going to be aired at 11 p.m. after Impact Wrestling. PWI suggests that this is a sign that Destination America will most likely drop wrestling once the deal with Ring of Honor is done in December, or TNA in September, or once they're available for dropping. I don't know. I mean, I just think if you're going to air it twice, if they think they're getting if they moving the content to later in the night, which is a better option, and they have something else to put in its place, I think it's going to do better. I get it. It's business. It's not hate. But they're also not getting original content. They're getting replays. That's a big deal. Why give up a cherry spot for reruns, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I mean, this move makes sense to me because the viewing numbers for the 8 p.m. showing and the 11 p.m. showing were pretty similar. So, this could be a bid by Destination America to kind of consolidate those viewers. How well that'll work, I don't necessarily know, but, I don't think this is necessarily a bad sign for ROH. I think this is just a bid to kind of increase ratings. So, yeah, it could be good.
I'm really not happy with Destination America's handling with wrestling, period. I'm not exactly sure what they were expecting with TNA, but it seems like the moon at the very least, and they didn't get it and then instantly said, well, then screw off. And then it kind of made me even scratch my head even more, if they felt that way, why they would bring in a totally different company if they already kind of had a distaste for wrestling. I don't really know what their foresight was, but I don't think they've handled it in the best. I really wouldn't put it on TNA or ROH for any of the shitty TV things that have been happening with them. Like, it to me, it's definitely on Destination America not knowing what the hell they want. So
Yeah,
I don't. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was done. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't think the mishandlings are malicious or out of spite. I think it is very much a matter of ignorance. Um, Discovery has never had wrestling before TNA, and not a lot of networks that are still around have. So I can very easily see the people over at Destination America or whoever makes the call on Discovery looking at the numbers that TNA was pulling for Spike and saying, oh, well, if they got that much of an audience, surely they'll follow the program over to us without really any groundwork being laid beforehand. And, that's not necessarily how this works. So, yeah, it may just be a matter of a learning curve for Destination America, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, which I think this move with ROH is kind of falling into that category. But, yeah, I guess we'll see in months to come.
So, do you think that we will see TNA on Destination America or ROH, or do you think they're both gone and Destination America's out of the wrestling game?
I think we will. I rather doubt that Discovery as a whole would be that short-sighted. I think they've got, at least with TNA, a solid working relationship, like with Eric Young and his shows. So I think at the higher levels they've got a good relationship going on. It's just, I guess it's middle management that's kind of fucking up with the minor details and the micromanagement stuff. So I think long term TNA will stick around. And possibly ROH, because it's just a win-win for Sinclair right now.
Cool. We're going to move on over to do some quick Ask FTPW. If you haven't been able to get you want to get your question answered, hit us up on Facebook, the YouTubes, the Twitters. If we see it, we'll make sure we get into the next show. Next time we do Ask FTPW, we're going to do this pretty quick, not necessarily quick hit style for you long-time listeners with only 30 seconds, but let's try and make our points brief. From PW Pop, with the NXT Divas making such an impact, do you see a possible NXT versus WWE Survivor Series match? And out of the current crop of new stars, who do you see as future Hall of Famers? Nick?
I don't necessarily see that Survivor Series match happening, or even that style of match happening, not after they brought up those girls and divvied them up the way they did. Maybe if they'd gone the organic route and had Paige go to NXT for backup herself, maybe we could have got something like that. But now that it's this three-way team struggle for dominance, I don't necessarily see that happening. Out of the current crop of new stars, I definitely see Kevin Owens potentially being a Hall of Famer. Finn Balor, possibly. Sami Zayn easily has the charisma to make that happen. It's just a matter of staying healthy, I guess, to have that sort of career. Yeah, those are the three names that come to mind very, very quickly.
Adam?
Yeah, I don't really see the Survivor Series match happening either. Though if it does, I'm all for it. Like, I'm not going to turn away perfectly good wrestling for no reason. I guess they didn't really make it totally clear. Kind of to Nick's point, if we are just talking about the divas making the impact and just WWE versus NXT divas, that could be interesting. If we're doing like WWE versus NXT, like straight up Survivor Series mixed tag, ultimate fantasy booking, like, I don't see it happening, but I would absolutely love it. I mean, it would just be the greatest possible thing that WWE could do for Survivor Series as of late. So WWE, if you're listening to us, get on it. As far as who's getting into the Hall of Fame, Rollins for sure. It's very early to tell, but I do think Rollins has made such a career so far and such an impact, and has taken that top heel identity to such heights so quickly. I doubt that he wouldn't be in the. I really, really doubt that. I mean, And he still has so much more career ahead of him, and he pretty much stays healthy, and he pretty much dodges bullets. So I don't see, and he's under Triple H's wing, and just all that stuff. I mean, if we're gonna go like no-brainers, obviously Cena, obviously Orton.
Yeah, but those aren't the new crop.
Okay. Well, I didn't know what the whole thing was. As far
Cena's
as
been around for like 15 years. It's kind of
yeah, well, he's still considered a baby compared to like the Undertaker. So, who also will be going into the Hall of Fame. Duh. So, other than that, like really, really fresh and new, I definitely think Owens has a place. Cesaro, I think, has, if nothing else, his staying power. Owens can talk all the shit in story about how he's not made an impact in 3 years. You know what, though? He's still fucking there 3 years from now. And I can't say that about a lot of hopefuls that we've had, So I think that alone, on top of all the great stuff that Cesaro does, earns him a spot in the Hall of Fame. Brian, for sure, will be there.
Yeah.
Who else? I think Zayn, like you're saying, if he's healthy. I mean, he's had this one pretty severe injury that was very poorly timed, but after that, I can't think of too many more that he's had that were out of kayfabe anyway. So yeah, I think Zayn would be a good one. Depending on which way Neville goes in his career, he could be a pretty easy staple. I mean, all the guys have the chance. It's really, really kind of too early to tell. The top three that I would say I think are definites would probably be Cesaro, Seth, and Owens, just for their immediate, quick impacts and already feeling. I mean, to me, even though I know that, and it's one of Owens' bragging points. I know that Owens has only been in the official WWE cough NXT. I don't know why that doesn't count. Sorry, WWE allergies. But even though he uses that as a bragging point, like it still feels like in these very brief 3 months that Owens has been there forever and has been a dominant, heel forever. I would say the same in a dominant face way for Cesaro. And even Seth, so those would be my top three picks, and welcoming a lot more. Okay. Sorry, I know that went over 30 seconds.
That went over. I think that went over next week's time too.
I'm very passionate.
Right, understood. Do I think the NXT Survivor Series versus WWE Survivor Series match is going to happen with the Divas? I don't think so. Given the storylines and everything, it's going to be a big stretch. Would it be cool? Sure, but NXT better damn well win it. But that's about it. Out of the current crop of new stars, who do I see as a future Hall of Famer? Unlike the live chat who says Jason Jordan, I am going to go. I agree with Owens. I actually think Hideo Itami, once healed, is going to make a huge impact.
Oh, I forgot about Hideo.
I think he's going to do some great stuff. And honestly, I would love to see Enzo and Cass making it as a tag team. They're extremely entertaining, and I think that's one of the biggest factors to get into the Hall of Fame. From Ishmael on Facebook, who's the best heel in 2015? Adam.
Tie between Rollins and Owens.
Okay, Nick.
I'm going to go outside of the WWE for this one. Partly outside it. Owens, I think, is right up there for me. EC3 is another one, and you got to name Pentagon Jr. from Lucha Underground. Those three have been on fire this year, and you can't make me choose between them.
Okay. I'm going to go with Paul Heyman.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Only because Brock would be... I mean, Brock's got the ability in the ring, but he would not be anywhere that he is today without Paulie.
Yeah!
Paulie's just got... He's got the magic.
Say something stupid, Joe.
From Sean Walton, a Squared Circle of Trust member. 1, does Brock Lesnar have to win the Royal Rumble to make WrestleMania worth watching compared to the last 2 years? Crap results and fans quote-unquote boycotting?
No. I don't think so. For one thing, I don't see him going into the Royal Rumble. I think if he wants a Mania match, he's just going to demand it and he's going to get it. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't even think Lesnar going in strong would necessarily make Mania watchable because we had that huge moment where Lesnar broke the streak. That's definitely worth watching, but as a whole, the show was kind of eh.
Hmm.
So I don't think Lesnar by himself can save Mania. Should it need saving?
But then Lesnar and Reigns was pretty good this year.
I rewatched that with Kevin just the other weekend. This past weekend. No, 2 weekends. Last weekend. The weekend before this. Last weekend in July. There we
Whatever.
go.
What's your point?
And it was really, I look back and it was a solid match all the way through. I was actually more impressed with it then than I was when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing against that match. It was a great main event. It's just Lesnar's work by itself doesn't save Mania. Like it was still a mess show.
Right, and I will say Lesnar, no, in the Rumble, they're burning up so many appearances with him right now that if they're going to use him for Mania, they're going to have to hold off on him for a while. So God only knows what they're going to do.
I would say the same. I don't think he needs to be anywhere near the Royal Rumble match to draw money. And as far as the boycotting thing goes, that's obviously because because the internet fell the hardest for their biggest darling, Dan and Bryan. And I'll admit, I was even one of those for the first year that he didn't win and wasn't even in the Rumble. And, I was disappointed when he got eliminated the second year. And I did think that they were not that Reigns didn't deserve to win, but that he was definitely being shoved down our throats. And that's unless you're going to turn him heel, that's not something I can't believe that Vince. I mean, he's tried to push so many faces down our throats over the years, and he still never learns that we just don't do it that way, So even still, Reigns winning led to a really great match. I think he really proved himself in that match and has consistently proved himself in every single match prior or post, whatever. And yeah, Lesnar doesn't need to be in the Royal Rumble. If anybody wants to crap on it on WrestleMania or boycott it, then, and I did air quotes both times, then they don't deserve to watch it in the first place, I don't think.
All right, Adam, is Sting the only acceptable opponent for Undertaker at WrestleMania, since it will most likely be Taker's last match in his home state of Texas?
Yes, I think so. I mean, unless, like I say, I thought Bray Taker was going to be Taker's last match, and here we are. So, yeah, I think you got to build towards Sting Taker. There's no other reason to keep Taker around.
Okay, Nick?
You gotta wonder if that's what's gonna happen, just because it has been such a dream match for a lot of people over the years. The only acceptable opponent, though, I don't think so. Acceptable is such a weird word to use here, because there are a lot of guys that I think would look good against Taker, but I'll substitute likely. Sting is very likely, I think, in my opinion, but you also can't discount Cena versus Taker. This has never happened.
Oh, you sure could.
It's never happened. It seemed like I don't maybe obvious decision. WWE's top guy against a dead man. I don't see the allure for it personally, but if Triple H gets two matches, then maybe Cena should get one.
The allure was there before the streak was broken, because then it was considered. Then you thought maybe Cena could break it.
Yeah.
But no, I think Cena would be a great opponent. I think if you go anywhere with nostalgia, though, you go with a Kane to wrap that up.
How about this? Taker versus Sting, with Kane as the special guest referee.
Hell no, I don't want to see Sting in a wrestling ring ever again.
But you
But
could
you
cover it
watch
up with so much.
Taker looked great against Bray. He actually got in shape as opposed to the previous couple of years where he didn't. He was slow. He looked winded. But if Glenn Jacobs and Mark Calloway are both going to retire, I think they could both take each other out in that match and call it no contest or a double count out
See,
or
I think
and just let the Brothers of Destruction go. I don't Sting versus Taker would have been great, like we said 15, 20 years ago. It's not going to now. They're not in their prime. It's going to be.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at it as a match for pure wrestling ability, and of course that match would blow. But if you
So
brought
basically, you want Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon. That's essentially going to be acceptable for you, is what you're saying.
No, that's not
That
going to be
is
acceptable for me either. What I am suggesting is taking the supernatural element and kicking it up to 11 and using a lot of special effects to hide their flaws. I think that is tailor-made for a great match, even if you include Kane.
well, they tried to do that with Sting versus Triple H and all the Terminators. That didn't fly too well.
That was just for the entrance, though.
That was a
And for
garbage match because they threw in everybody that's ever been in the WWE that can still potentially walk into a wrestling ring.
And
Yep.
WCW.
Yeah.
The final question, guys. Let's keep this short. Will fan support? Or this is from Lou. Will fan support be enough to carry Cesaro into the main event? Yes or no? Adam.
Yep.
Nick.
No. Not fan support alone. Fan support has gotten him this far, which, yeah, it's
All right.
pretty decent, but no.
See,
There's got to be
I-
a push backstage.
I agree with you, Nick. I think fan support has gotten him here. I think fan support will carry him, and I think this is about. I mean, it's up to him. The only thing holding him back, I think, is a little bit of mic work. It's just, but they got to give him more so that he gets back in the groove and rocks it out.
I would disagree with that part. I mean, yes, you're right. He's got to take it from here. Fan support has got him this far. I think everything. I mean, I think the only thing that could hold him back now is politics. Really. I mean, I think his mic work has been absolutely outstanding the last couple weeks. But first, I mean, he's kind of he definitely overplayed it last night. But that first time on SmackDown when he comes up to Owens and says, your catchphrase is fight, Owens, fight. But all I seem to see you do is talk, Owens, talk. Oh, and by the way, you're worried about someone putting their hands on you. And he freaking just pushes Owens out of the shot. There you go. I touched you first. Let's get it on, bro. Like, oh my God. It was so short and sweet.
Well, I'm just saying that for the longest length of time, he has not been on the mic.
True.
They haven't. They need him to work that rust off. Then there's potential there. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, I'm good.
Cool. Alrighty, so let's move on to win fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
Alrighty, Nick, what is your win of the week? And everybody in the live chat, hurry up and get them up.
That's what she said. I'm going to throw my win to the first week of Ultima Lucha. Yeah, it was just an hour long. We only got 3 matches, but boy, howdy, those were 3 awesome matches. Cage versus Willie Mack. The main event with Drago versus Hernandez. Great matches.
Alrighty, Adam, what is your win of the week?
My win is no John Cena, bitches! Hell yeah, dude. No John Cena, all Raw. That was pretty great. I'm glad that at least in that way, even though I still hold a bone of contention that he broke his nose last main event and did not even sell that he broke it. Horrible. Horrible. But whatever. He's selling it now. He's not there this week. I hope we don't see him next week either. I would love it if we didn't see him until SummerSlam, honestly. I think that would be the ultimate build to this. Cena finally coming back to avenge his nose, I guess, and his title, and win the WWE title again. I think that'd be the ultimate push for this. It would let Rollins really shine. I don't want to see dueling promos because that's what we see with every single freaking Cena storyline that we ever see. And while I think Rollins can hold his own with Cena, it's just this is something different. This is something new. This is something exciting. Once again, WWE, if you're listening, don't 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 bring Cena back. Don't bring him back till SummerSlam. You'll make a ton
I'm
of
just
money.
curious, how can you tell that there was no John Cena? Because whether he's there or not, either way, you can't see him.
Ah, you got me there, buddy.
Da 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 da!
That may be my one.
Well, Nick, I'll admit, my time is up and your time is now, bro.
From the live chat, where'd it go? There it goes. From the live chat, Ishmael says, "Win of the week is Ultima Lucha Part 1. B-Meg, same thing. Robert Carmichael says, Ring of Honor. My win of the week, I've got it split. It's the Heyman promo on Raw to promote Brock. That was fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful work.
Mhm.
And Rollins never shuts up, you can't see me shirt. I laughed. I really did laugh. That was a good one. Fails of the week. Adam?
My fail probably gonna be, dude, the 80s are dying, man. First Dusty, now Roddy. Hogan is blacklisted. You know, if I have to hear any more news in my birth month that one more 80s pop wrestler. Oh, and sorry, I forgot that. Warrior earlier this year. If I have to hear any more of that this year, especially in my birth month, I'm going to be really, really sad. I mean, Robin Williams committed suicide on my birthday last year, and August is becoming a very dark month for me, so I can't take it no more, man. I just can't.
Alrighty. Nick?
I'm gonna throw my fail at Ryder versus Barrett. Yeah, it's nice that Ryder got some TV time, but I don't know how much longer do we have to go with Barrett taking down all pretenders to his crown? I think he ran out that gimmick with Truth. I think he just move on, drop the King gimmick, go back to being Bad News Barrett if you have to, but just put the focus back on being a brawler, being a good wrestler, back on the bullhammer.
Okay. Fails from the live chat. Ishmael says, fail of the week is poor Hernandez. Got whipped badly during the Backlash Believers match with him and Drago.
No. That was awesome, except maybe for that whip he took around the head. That was a bad spot.
Blue Cactuars, fail is Miz on Tough Enough. Beanbag says, fail not constructively doing something with the Matadores. I can kind of get that. They're one of those teams that you just really don't know what to do with.
They're good heels if you give them enough to work with.
The problem is the gimmick with the bull. It really hurts doing something with them other than, hey, it's the bull.
No, you could totally have a heel turn with them with the bull. Like, I don't remember if it was this week or last week, but one of them used El Torito as a weapon.
Right.
You could totally run with that.
Yeah. My fail of the week, it's lack of Garvin. I miss Garvin.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah, stop being a successful businessman, Garvin. Come back to us.
Yeah, no, actually my fail, jumping off of Adams, the 80s are dying, is my prediction that we're going to lose Bobby the Brain Heenan soon.
Don't tell me that, bro.
The dude hasn't been in good shape for a very long time.
I know.
I think he's going to go before Mean Gene does. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, they're going to both go now because you said that. It's all on you, Joe.
No, only one. They go in threes. So
it could start another 3.
No, we're not going to do that. Because God knows Mr. Taker might be in that list.
Hacksaw's still going strong.
End the show, please. Please end the show.
Tony Atlas. And that's the show. If you want to check out extra content, like us discussing e-fetting that we recorded last week, head over to patreon.com/fanstalk for bonus content and early access to episodes just like this one. just like this one. Don't know if this is getting up there. Also, make sure you join the ongoing discussion that happens on our YouTube channel. Search for FTPW278 and see what others are adding to the conversation. For myself, Nick, Adam, Garvin, all of our hopes and dreams. Oh, and by the way, those of you who listened to the end of last week's show, I'm having a boy. Having a boy.
Yay!
Yay! Dun, 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 dun.
You
know
gotta
what?
get him the eat, sleep, poop, repeat onesie that they have on.
I already got the onesie with the title belt saying future WWE champ.
Nice.
And thank you to FTPW alum Kevin for making some onesies that said John Cena sucks, rolling with daddy, and it's got a D6 on it, and then future GM in training. Fantastic. Love it, brother. And yeah, awesome. So that's the show. You guys have a good night, everybody in the live chat, and